Model O wireless from Glorious was a mouse that I recommended a lot based on the performance you could get for the price, and we reviewed this back in December of 2020. Now today, Glorious is out with the Model O2 wired and wireless. Of course, we have the wireless version here. But as with many products these days, you know, it's a newer version, and that means a little bit of a price increase as well, going up to $100 from the $80 of the original Model O wireless. So are these upgrades and updates worth the $100 price tag for the Model O2 wireless? Well, let's dive in and check it out. Hey everybody, I'm Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys. First off, let's just take a quick overview look at the new Model O2. Of course, like we said, they're both wired and wireless variants of this, and they are also available in both black and white, just like all the other mice from Glorious. And really, Glorious has just taken what worked with the Model O and just kind of upgraded it and updated it a little bit. They have redesigned the shell and the mouse buttons a little bit. They have also put a new sensor in here, their BAMF 2.0, and it also has Bluetooth connectivity as well now, so a little bit more multi-purpose there. And the wireless version maintains the same 69 gram or maybe 1 gram more of weight for a wireless gaming mouse, coming in at $100, and the wired version comes in at $65 and 59 grams. Okay, so taking a closer look at the design of the Model O2 wireless, it is very similar to the original Model O, but there are some updates to it. The dimensions are nearly identical. Glorious wanted to retain the popular ambidextrous design. Comparing these two generations directly, it appears that the new gen is slightly shorter in overall length, but that could also just be the new mouse button design. But the biggest design updates are noticeable from the top of the mouse. The Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 buttons have been redesigned to be more narrow at the top, rather than stretching all the way to the sides to the RGB stripes like the older version. The honeycomb shell also looks slightly different, with smaller holes and no holes on the mouse buttons. Another goal with this mouse was to update the overall structural integrity of this mouse. It does feel solid in my testing. You know, there's not much flex or anything to it, which is also commendable for its lightweight design. You know, having the shell up top here go all the way to the front does add a little bit more structure to it. On the original, you can see the Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, the buttons go all the way to the side, and when you push in on the shell right here, there is a little bit of flex. Now, you have to put a lot of weight on it to notice that flex, but it is there. So that is one nice update with the Generation 2. On the bottom, the skates look identical to the older generation and even the Model O Pro. Glorious does also offer the G Floats, which are replacement skates that are made from a polished ceramic compound, and those are available for $15. The Odin logo has been removed from the left side of the mouse, and instead there's a small text logo on the right that says Glorious Model O2. And moving into overall use, I've been maining the Death Adder V3 Pro lately, which is a lightweight ergonomic gaming mouse, and I just absolutely love this thing. It fits my hand and my playstyle very well for both gaming and for also productivity as well. But that being said, it did not take much for me to transition over to and really enjoy the Model O2 wireless for gaming and also for productivity. Granted, I've had it for roughly 2 weeks, but I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 2042 with the recent updates, and this mouse has been performing very well for that. Of course, I would love to see it even a little bit lighter. You know, 69 grams is lightweight for a gaming mouse of full size. You know, this isn't the O- or anything like that. But considering that they have the Model O Pro, which they got down to 55 grams, it would have been nice to see a little more weight savings in there for the Model O2. The mouse clicks feel nice and sharp with some really good tactility there. You know, even compared to something like the Death Adder V3 Pro, which we have here, you can kind of hear those mouse clicks and hear the difference. This is the Glorious Model O2 wireless and the Razer. And we'll even go to the Razer Viper V2 Pro. So the Glorious just has a really nice, sharp, clicky sound to it that I do enjoy. And that's actually kind of similar with some of their other mice as well. Here is the original Model O wireless compared to the new one. It's a little bit sharper on the new one. You can also hear a little bit of creaking. You know, this mouse is older. It doesn't have the structural upgrades that this has, so it's not surprising that the Model O2 wireless sounds and feels a little bit better than the older generation. And here, we'll even compare it with the Model O Pro, and you can hear how that sounds. So a little bit sharper, a little bit snappier on the Model O2 wireless. Interestingly, it feels like there is a little bit more pre-travel with this newer generation and the new mouse design on the mouse one click. It also seems to have just a little bit more wiggle when you push the mouse button all the way down and try to move the mouse button to the left and right. There is a little bit more movement on this newer generation than there was on the older original generation. The new scroll wheel feels largely the same, although the little texture grooves are wider, but there is no RGB built in here, but otherwise it seems to work well. It's not a continuous scroll, there are steps in there, but it has a nice satisfying click when actuated. And here we'll do a full sound test of the mouse so you can hear how all the buttons sound. To me, the side buttons feel a little bit mushier, which I don't think is an upgrade. I don't think that's better than the older version. Maybe even hear that. They sound about the same, but there's a little bit more tactile snap and feedback on the older version than there is on the newer one. It's just a little bit mushier there. And when it comes to, the performance of the sensors, the new BAMF 2.0, I mean, it's hard for me to really tell if there's much of an improvement. I've had no issues when using this for gaming. It feels snappy, it feels quick in use, while playing Battlefield 2042 from a semi-casual player. I wouldn't say I'm, anything like super crazy good, but this mouse does feel nice when I am gaming. One other notable feature here, of course, is it does still have RGB lighting. That's one thing that differentiates the Pro mouse from this mouse. So it still has the strips on the side, which have quite a few different zones. You can also see more lighting through the shell when compared to the older version. Just a little bit more color shining through right there. One other difference though is that the scroll wheel on the older version does light up, where on the new one, it does not have any lights on it as well. So on top, a little bit less light from the scroll wheel there. Another big update on this mouse is battery life. It can get up to 110 hours on 2.4 gigahertz and up to 210 hours on Bluetooth. And that is Glorious's numbers without RGB turned on. In use with RGB turned up to some of the brightest levels, I'm definitely not getting that full 110 hours of battery life. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I have had to recharge it a couple of times in the 2 weeks that I've been using it, and I definitely haven't used it for over 200 hours. So some nice upgrades here, some nice updates. Only thing I don't care for is the side button. Feels a little bit different in my opinion, but everything else is a very nice upgrade and update. So that brings us to pricing on this. It's $20 more than the older version. That's $100. That's the same price they were charging for the Model O Pro, which is their 55-gram solid shell mouse as well. At $80, the Model O Wireless, the first generation, felt like a pretty good deal, pretty good bang for your buck. You could get a lightweight gaming mouse without spending $100. Now, at the new price point, this is a little bit of a harder sell for me. It does feel nicer. I like these new updates and upgrades, but at the same time, it kind of takes it out of that more budget-friendly price category. Once you get into triple digits at $100, you start getting closer to a lot more wireless competition. Of course, you can get the wired version as well for $65, which does seem like a pretty good deal considering this is $100. And it is still more affordable than both of Razer's Pro mice, the Death Adder V3 Pro and the Viper V2 Pro. The MSRP is $150. Usually they're still hanging out around that price point because these are both newer mice. But these both feel feel and perform like higher end pro mice. Like they just feel solid. Obviously we like to see the solid shell on here, and Razer's wireless technology is consistently up near the top of the charts when it comes to input lag and also to consistency. And again, the Pro mouse was priced at $100. That's the same price as this. So it's a little confusing and a little surprising that they went with a $100 price point for the Model O2 wireless. You know, granted, maybe the Model O Pro wasn't actually worthy of that name because there really weren't any hardware upgrades and there were some quality control issues. That's kind of why I didn't post anything about it, and it was a group buy, so it's not just available all the time. But considering that they could get this down to 55 grams, charge $100 for it, and that's the same price that we're getting for this, it just kind of makes the whole pricing structure a little bit more confusing. You know, what does that mean for pro mice going forward coming from Glorious? Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad mouse. I think it's a solid mouse. I've really enjoyed it for gaming. Obviously, I'd love to see it more lightweight, like I've mentioned. But, you know, as far as overall performance, it does well, it sounds good, it feels good. As far as I can tell, it seems snappy and fast when I am gaming. But the $20 price increase does just make it the slightest bit harder to recommend over the older generation, which felt like a really good deal at $80. But that's gonna do it for this video review of the Glorious Model O2 wireless. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. Is this one that you'll be picking up, or are you gonna skip this generation? Let us know what you think. And if you're looking for some other videos to watch, I'll link to my review of the Death Adder V3 Pro, as well as our most recent video. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.